So close, yet so far. Trinidad and Tobago won, Saudi Arabia won, and the Soca Warriors Gold Cup campaign is now over. Well, Gold Cup 2025 campaign. Really tough one to take. I mean, if you watch the game, you understand why. But let's break it down. Starting lineup was really good. We saw Real Gil coming into the squad. People were a bit concerned. We're not seeing Spicer. Sealy, as we've been saying, wasn't really the best in the past 3 games, but came in, started, and what a beautiful goal. What a start. Out of nothing, really, because we didn't really start all that well. To be honest, in the first half, we actually didn't really look all that convincing. I think credit to the defenders. I think this is probably our best defensive game that we've seen in this past run of games that we've been having. Everybody defended well. Sealy and Gill especially tracking back well from those attacking positions. I think the midfield defended well. Though we didn't really hold on to the ball well and look too composed, I think we defended well. To sum it all up, the back line was good. Everybody looked pretty comfortable. Rio Cardenas, brilliant game. Absolutely brilliant. Probably one of our best performers on the night, in my opinion. Anyway, so we got this lead early on. A lovely goal from Dante Sealy. And then, everybody was excited. But the goal scored so early on. And it's just that we know we are not the strongest defensive side. So you always had that little thing just telling you, Saudi Arabia could get back into it. But I think the thing that especially I wasn't really scared about is, although Saudi Arabia dominated that first half, they weren't really threatening. There wasn't any point in time where I was like, hey boy, we getting away. No, it wasn't really all that scary from their attack, to be completely honest. So even though they controlled that first half, I didn't feel too scared. But at the same time, knowing our defense, you just thought that one little slip and Saudi Arabia could get in. But first half was okay. It wasn't bad. We didn't really create too much. Of course, Gil, when he was on the ball, looked dangerous. He got that little ball into Levi Garcia. Good save from the Saudi Arabia keeper. Maybe you think somebody the quality of Levi Garcia could have, maybe finished a bit better, but nevertheless, it was a good chance created and a good save. So that was the first half in a nutshell. Saudi Arabia dominated in possession, but not really too threatening. And we got that beautiful goal through Dante Sealy. And really have to give kudos to Real Gil for coming into the squad. And to me, a really great performance. And from Sealy as well. Apart from the goal he scored, which was the obvious thing, I think he defended really well as well. Second half, more of the same. Saudi Arabia controlling the game, started to grow into it a bit more, started to create some chances, but still wasn't too scary. We still looked pretty solid defensively. Alvin had a really good game as well. So did Justin Garcia, and I think Ram was good. And then, of course, they got their goal. They finally got their goal. They finally breached our defense. You might see it as a soft goal, and yeah, but nevertheless, they equalized. It was a good save from Marvin Phillip off of the first shot. The touch from the Saudi Arabia player to kind of beat Alvin was a good one. And then, eventually they got through 1-1. And of course, in the other game, USA was beating Haiti and they were drawing. So once we got that win, it was obvious that we would have advanced into the quarterfinals. Then the substitutions came in. Some really good subs from Dwight, I think, as well. Unlucky for Johnny Fortune for getting injured. We hope that he's okay, of course. And then Kevin Molino coming off as well. Yates came on and I think he impacted the game really well. And then Nathaniel James came on and he really impacted the game. He was a danger, he was a target. People were looking for him over the top. Drew a foul and then he created that chance for Joven, which was really good, off the ball over from Cardenas. He ran it down. That was the intent. That's the fresh legs. Got it, crossed it, Joven hit it. Good save from the Saudi Arabia keeper once again. Joven, of course, was one of the substitutions himself. Before I get into the final piece of action, of course, you remember Justin Garcia with that off-the-line clearance. I mean, when that happened, you're thinking to yourself, nah boy, we have this game in the bag. And it happened in the last game as well. We had all these little near misses and things. And normally in football, when that happens, you win, right? So even down to the dying embers of that one, I think everybody from Trinidad and Tobago was just hopeful that we would get the 3 points, right? So goal line clearance from Justin Garcia. I think he had a really, really good game. Unfortunately for him, the biggest moment of the game, the deciding moment, didn't go his way, and that's all people will probably remember for the entire thing. Before I go into that last bit of play though, just a touch on Levi Garcia a little bit now. He is by far our best player, technically, strength, I think football IQ. You could see that he's a cut above the rest. That's obviously because of his ability and his exposure. But I think in this game especially, there were instances where he was holding on to the ball way too long in the attack. I thought there were times when he could have slipped in players. There was one with I believe it was Nathaniel James running through the middle, and he held on to it. And then when Gil was on the pitch as well, on the left-hand side, they won back the ball, and I thought Gil had a good slip in there and Levi cut infield, and I was like, just some instances that I think is it's been mentioned that he's been a bit not connected with other players in terms of chemistry, and I think you even saw that today. Not that he had a bad game, but I think there were some instances where he could have slipped in a pass here and there, and that just could have been much better. Anyway, Kyle Thomas also came on, and I think he had a good impact. Gave away the ball a couple times, but he was getting the ball into the box early and a bit dangerous as well, which is what we needed, just chasing that final goal. And then the final moment came, the moment that was the moment for us to get into the quarterfinals of the Gold Cup 2025. Lovely skill from Nathaniel James, brilliant dribbling. I mean, it looked like Messi. He literally looked like Messi running through the midfield. And you know what it reminded me of? He got an assist against Cuba, I think last year, where he slipped it in for Dante Gilbert. It looked just like that, and he just cut through the entire Saudi midfield and slipped in a beautiful ball for Justin Garcia, the man who equalized for us in the last game against Haiti. And everybody in Trinidad and Tobago and the entire diaspora throughout the world was off their seats. And it just hit off the post, and everybody just dropped right back into their seats. And that was the moment. And the thing about it is like, you could get vexed with him because that was the chance to win it. But in the same breath, you can't get too vexed with him because he's not a striker. So that position, that he was the wrong man to be in the position. You needed a Levi there, you needed a Nathaniel James. He played the ball, so he couldn't be there. But you needed a finisher there. Because the thing about it is, although it was a one-on-one, the goalkeeper was rushing in, and those are always difficult. And with him not being a natural finisher, it was always going to be difficult for him. So it goes in football. We put up a good fight. As I said, I think honestly it was a decent performance. Rio Cardenas, I have to give a lot of credit to. He had a really good game. I think Gil, Dante, Sealy, of course, Rampasad, I think he was really good as well. Did give away the ball a few times, got beaten, but I think his defensive work was good. And the entire back line, I mean, despite the goal being conceded, I think they were solid. And of course, the subs when they came on, I think were really good. Molino didn't really have the best game today. I think him being subbed off was a good sub from Dwight York, but the run is over. So it's to go back to the drawing board and all eyes on September, where we start our final round of World Cup qualifying. So we have a lot of work to do. We saw some positives today, just to build on that. And hopefully, maybe Gold Cup was now a thing, but hopefully World Cup, we'll be playing World Cup in the USA, Canada, or Mexico, whichever group we get put in next year.